Pineal Stories is intended for information and educational purposes only. The content shared on this podcast should not be taken as medical advice. We aim to raise awareness and foster thoughtful discussion around symptomatic pineal cysts. We are not providing medical guidance or diagnosis. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional regarding any medical concerns or decisions. Every individual situation is unique, and only your doctor can help you determine the best course of action for your health. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again. We're here this week with Kayla, and as always, we're just going to turn it over and let her tell her story. Kayla?
Hi, my name is Kayla Matzel. I am 31 years old. I live in Warren, Michigan in the US. I am a family and event photographer. Have my own company for about 12 years. It did die down for a long time when I had my health issues, but I'm back in it again, which I'm really proud of. So I first noticed that something was wrong in 2011. I was walking around downtown by myself, and I had been in downtown Royal Oak many, many times before, but I suddenly got very confused. I didn't really know where I was in relation to home. I had to call my mom to have her come pick me up. I wasn't sure what was going on, but it was very scary. And I was only 18 at the time. Uh, Shortly after, about a year later, I went away to college and I began having absence seizures, which I didn't know at the time were absence seizures. When I was seeing doctors about it, they were telling me it must be anxiety. So I was getting prescribed anti-anxiety medications, Klonopin, Xanax, just throwing different meds at me, trying to, because they weren't really sure either what was going on. I had uh, Once I got out of college, I wasn't able to finish because it all started to get a lot worse. I only did 2.5 years because I started having grand mal seizures in 2014. That was the year that I started getting the dizziness got really bad. It went from headaches to migraines, confusion, nausea. My loss of appetite was so bad because nearly every time I ate, I would vomit. And it started to get so bad that I would throw up blood. So they put me on. They tried different anti-nausea medications, but that never really helped. They actually made the headaches worse sometimes. That I was on a stomach acid reducer, which was the only thing that really even vaguely helped with that. I also started getting muscle spasms. So my arms would jerk. At one point, actually, my arm went through a glass pane. I had to get
Ooh.
stitches down my elbow because it threw itself back right through the glass. I would get these sharp stabbing head pains, and I would tell my mom, just we would deal with it all with humor. That's just kind of how we got through things. We called them the pencil stabs. It really just would feel like you took a very sharp pencil and picked a spot and poked it right through. It's really the closest thing that I can compare it to. Um, and that's also the year that my sleeping schedules got really bad. There really wasn't a schedule. It was some days I couldn't sleep no matter what I did. I remember going 3 days at one point without me just trying desperately to sleep and not being able to. And then other times it would be I couldn't be woken up. I would sleep for 30 hours and people would come in and try to shake me awake. They'd get enough of a response out of me to know I was still there, but there was no getting me out of bed. I was just out of it. And then slowly over time, the grand mal seizures got so bad, they started putting me on they tried quite a few different anti-seizure medications, and those were only making it worse. At one point toward the end, I was having about seven a day. It was horrific. I spent a lot of time in the hospital. Um, the light sensitivity was very bad. It For some reason, and I'm not sure why, blue LED lights were excruciating to look at very specifically. All light, bright light was too much for me, but blue LED, I still cower when I see them because I'm waiting for the pain that never comes. And then in the last couple years, because it did take me about 5.5, almost 6 years after the everything started for me to get to the point where I got my removal surgery. So in those last 2 years, the uh, the anxiety and the depression were so bad that I it was hard for me to even leave the house, not just for my safety, but even when I felt like I could, I didn't want to. Um, I started to lose my eyesight intermittently toward the last 7, 8 months beforehand. I would be seeing completely fine, and then it would be tunnel vision for a few seconds until it would go away completely. The similar thing happened with my hearing as well, actually. It would sound like I was put underwater all of a sudden. So I'd be hearing completely fine midway through a conversation, or sometimes when I was alone watching TV, it would sound like someone suddenly dunked me underwater and I couldn't make anything out completely. Uh, and then I also I would get weakness in my arms, my hands and my arms. So this sounds so silly, but folding laundry, lifting my arms up to fold laundry was very painful. And
Mm.
it's something I don't experience anymore. But that, especially the last year and a half, that was you can tell something's wrong when folding laundry is causing you a lot of pain. It was like lifting up bricks with my arms at the same time. And I I spoke to many doctors. I had an incredible primary care physician. Her name was Alicia Clary, and she was very out of her league with all of it, but she was the only doctor at the time who sat down and really saw me, was trying to figure it out with me. She got me into different specialists. I saw finally a neurologist, the first neurologist I saw. They got me an MRI, and they um, saw me again in the office after my results and told me they were going to put in a stent for pressure release. They did not tell me anything about the pineal cyst, and I ended up everything was getting worse. They were upping my dosage of anti-seizure medications, which was causing the seizures to get worse. I was in the ER at one point because they just couldn't. I was the grand mal seizures were so recurring that they were worried about sending me home. And they switched my neurologist to someone else who also didn't even tell me that the findings through the second MRI that they found it again. And at this point, my mom was terrified. I was barely able to advocate for myself. My mom, I owe a lot to my mom holding my hand through this because, especially when you wake up from a grand mal seizure, you can't even speak. So there were points I couldn't advocate for myself. And I went home. I talked to my aunt who does, she works for a hospital out in California, and they do a lot of different, she's a medical scientist, or I'm sorry, her boyfriend is a medical scientist of some sort. And he was telling me about how they were working with people who just happened to have pineal cyst, and it seemed to line up. So I requested my own records. My mother and I sat down and we looked through the MRIs that I'd gotten and saw in the notes that they found the pineal cyst. And my pineal cyst was 15 millimeters. It was all trilobal, so it had three sections to it. So we called it my little snowman. Because it was just one big bubble, a medium-sized one, and then a smaller one. And come to find out after removal surgery that it had gotten so big at that point that it had ruptured the actual pineal gland. There really wasn't much left of it. They had to take the whole thing out. So I don't have a pineal gland anymore at all. It's gone. Um, I got a third neurologist at this point who talked to me and said, yes, okay, we found it on your MRIs, but there's absolutely nothing that this is affecting. It can't be the pineal cyst. It's not causing any of your issues. I think what we need to do is up your anti-seizure medication, which we'll try some more anti-anxiety medications. Here's try meditating. It's probably stress. Here, let's send you to a specialist. So, I tried. There was a neurosurgeon through Beaumont. I also saw a neurosurgeon through the University of Michigan. that meeting was very intense because a lot of the neurosurgeons would tell me, um, such as the one I saw through the Mayo Clinic and the one I saw through Brain and Spine Institute, both said to me, this is probably psychosomatic. You're very stressed out. This is something that we're going to treat the individual symptoms because this is not causing these issues. But when I saw the University of Michigan, the surgeon, he said to me, so I do think there is a good chance that this is causing issues for you, but I can tell you that we're not going to be able to take it out for you without causing you much more stress, pain. We're going, and he used the word maim. He said there is a very, very good chance that we will maim you and you will have no quality of life. He said that I think you need to treat this every day as it comes and, quote, live out the life you have left.
Oh,
And that was my mom and I went home and we cried because at this point I was barely even able to walk. I didn't have any, center of gravity. I was falling down all the time. Uh, I really didn't have. I had little to no social life. I couldn't work. I couldn't drive. I mean, at that point, I could barely eat or sleep. So um, we got to the point after I saw so many different neurologists, neurosurgeons, that we realized we weren't going to find any help in Michigan or anywhere close to. So we got on the support groups on Facebook, and we found a lot of help on there. That we were sent to Texas. I found Dr. Kim in Texas, and he's no longer practicing, but I did have a great experience with him. We sent all the scans in, and he said that it seemed to be narrowing my ventricles and that there was a solid chance that I would have a stroke if it went on too long. So he got me in very soon after. And after doing the exam, he told me normally there's a longer waiting period, but we have to get you in quickly. So 3 weeks later, I flew back to Texas and they did the removal surgery. I honestly, I woke up and everybody kept telling me I needed to lay down, stop moving, take it easy. And I kept telling everybody, you don't understand. I have felt so terrible for so long. I have years of not being able to sit up, walk, eat. I woke up being able to see better than I could since I was in high school. I could hear everything. Everything was more crisp and clear. I could eat without just immediately rejecting it. After removal surgery, and mind you, so many doctors, surgeons, so many people told me this is not affecting you. This is not giving you seizures. This is not causing your problems. I had one seizure right after removal, which Dr. Kim said is very normal. It's like bumping your arm on something. It's going to take a second. It's going to swell before everything heals. There's a wound there. So that one, and I never had him again. So I went from 7 a day roundabout to one more and never again in my life. Even my hormones, everything, I had such bad PCOS that at that point, the point of removal surgery, I hadn't had a period in a year and a half. I had one 2 days after removal surgery, and then they evened themselves out. So I went from being told I would never be able to have children naturally to now I have two kids. I've got she's almost 2, and my son is going to be 5 in August. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Very
I
nice.
know it's my life is it is a night and day difference than than what I was dealing with before. I really, if I had to say something to anyone who's going through it right now, I would say I have been in a place where I did not want to wake up. I didn't want to take any steps forward. It's just being alive and breathing is hard, but don't give up. You will want to give up. It feels like you're falling deeper into a hole that just never ends, but I promise. My mom would always say to me, pick yourself up, and even if you can only do one step at a time, that's one step. Keep moving forward and advocating for yourself because there is a light at the end of the pain. And I'm I love my life now. I went from, not wanting to wake up to being excited to wake up and see my kids and go to work, and I drive again. My memory is probably better than it was before I got the pineal cyst. It took a while. It wasn't wake up and everything was immediately better.
Sure.
I mean, some were the seizures, the hormone levels, I think the only thing was maybe anxiety and um, yeah, the memory stuff, and everything else pretty much fixed itself immediately after it was taken out. And um that's saying something considering they took part of my brain out, you
Sure.
know?
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
I just I
So
want to say that so grand mal seizures are not typical of what a lot of the people have. They have seizure-like activity, but it doesn't register as an actual seizure. And so what we're told often is that, well, no, we're not going to take out your pineal gland because it's not causing any symptoms. But if it were doing XYZ, then we would. Well, you had XYZ. You actually came to Texas, a state we had to leave to get it done, to get yours taken out because you were that next level where you also had those things, but then you also had it generating those weird chemicals that cause all these other symptoms, it seems. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying it's the way it seems to me. And so you had two different levels of this thing going on at the same time. And
yeah.
almost fortunately so, because then you got to have it taken out. And I know that fenestration, I think is what it's called, where they take part of it out. I don't I don't think we've interviewed anybody that's had that done,
I think
right?
too, just getting lucky on who you talk
Right.
to be honest, because we went all the way to Mayo Clinic. I really think it depends on who you talk to because I mean, I was having seizure-like activity too, and it was too dangerous. This is too dangerous kind of thing. But I do like what you said about just keep going and advocating for yourself. Advocating
Absolutely.
for yourself is such a big deal because it's such a lonely thing to go through, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is someone out there, there are doctors out there that will eventually listen. And I think that's so awesome that you only had one seizure after your surgery, and then
Yep.
that was that.
Yep, I didn't
That's
I I didn't even have any absent seizures after the petit mal. It had started with those and the anti-seizure medications that I was on, and they tried many, I believe it was five different ones.
and that makes
Lamictal
sense
actually
because
caused my legs to it rejected them so bad that I was losing skin on my legs. My legs swelled up, turned bright red, and oh yeah, that was the anti-seizure medications made everything worse. That's really when the grand mal seizures started, was when they started pumping up my meds that I didn't
yeah,
need.
Oh,
because the type of seizures that come along with this, that's what we're hearing that the anti-seizure medicine doesn't necessarily work on these for some reason. I was on anti-seizure medicine too. Um, that kind of worked sometimes and kind of didn't.
Yeah.
Um, wow.
I never felt like any of those helped. And actually my mom had gotten to a point where she was recognizing sort of a correlation between the schedule in which I had to take the medications and when it would get really bad with my seizures.
So would you do this surgery again?
Yes. No question. And the recovery was rough. It was not fun. It was very painful. But there, yes, I went from having little to no quality of life whatsoever to being 90% of what I was before. And there's, of course, there's small things that'll never completely go back to normal. I don't have a pineal gland, so my sleep cycle's not going to regulate itself very well, but otherwise, there's no question I would do it again. Absolutely.
well, I mean, never say never. So for Kelly, her sleep cycle solidified after the fact, and hers was removed
Long time.
entirely,
Yeah.
and it got back to normal. And some surgeons, like Dr. Patel, refer to it as vestigial. Yeah, it generates some stuff, and when it's cystically enlarged, those chemicals can be
modified slightly to be the bad version of themselves. So it's melatonin, but it's not quite melatonin. Uh,
Okay.
and so um, it's been a while. So maybe and everyone's
Well,
situation is different, and
yeah. Well, I can say that that has also gotten much better. I definitely I definitely am not where I was before I had everything. I still have problems sleeping. I could stay up, forever if but it's so much better. So much better than it was. Even that, everything is.
yeah, you're the only person so far, besides Kelly, who's reported a 3 day period of not sleeping, which, I mean, that's just
That
devastating
was
for a person.
torturous. Yeah.
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 You feel like a zombie. You don't feel like yourself. It's you're a husk that's just sort of walking around and trying to go through the
Mhm.
motions.
Mm.
It's scary.
Yeah. Very much so. Well, I'm super happy to hear that um, you're better now, and congratulations on becoming a mommy twice.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. When was your surgery? What year?
January of 2018.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's
It's
been
been a
a
while.
while.
Yeah.
Yep, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yep, and
That's
I have
awesome.
reached a new normal, and like I said, some of the things took a little bit of time. I'd say after about 9 months, I felt human again. And then it took about 3 years for me to really feel comfortable going back to work full time and thinking about having kids and I did all the things that the more normal things of everyday life. But
Yeah.
I I mean I didn't think I'd ever get to drive again, let alone just live my own whole full life. And here I am.
Yeah, that is something. So congratulations on being our first to have both of those things going on. Congratulations is probably not the right way to say that, but uh, but wow, just the fact that you went through all of that, and even with that, even those other things that so many neurosurgeons will tell other people we've talked to and us, well, if you have this, then we can consider it. Well, you did, and so many still didn't consider it. That's
Well,
mind
ours didn't
blowing.
give us that option either, because I mean, I was having that too, and they just it was too dangerous. It was too risky. But our thing was there was zero quality of life, so why the not sleeping for days on end? I lost a ton of weight. Um, I'm tall, and I got down to
16,
116 pounds.
5'10",
I
116
Wow.
couldn't
pounds.
eat, zero appetite. I had weird issues with swallowing food. I mean, I was slowly feeling it. It felt like my body was slowly shutting down because I wasn't healthy at all. And do you have, during that time, did you have any issues with short-term memory? Did you have short-term memory loss? Are there chunks of
Yes.
time? Okay.
Actually, looking back at things too, I remember things differently than I do. It's like my brain process those memories a little bit differently. So, like, I look back to being in Texas during the surgery, and I can remember bits and pieces, almost like somebody is turning on and off a light, flipping it on and off. I've got little clips. I can remember how I felt in certain situations. I can remember somebody's face, but there is no whole picture. It's
Yeah.
almost like I didn't have the capacity to fully retain everything that was happening at the time.
Mhm.
So I have memories, but they're not quite full.
Yeah.
And then it actually got so bad at one point that my brother, who'd been my brother for 22 years, walked in the room, and it took me a solid few minutes to remember his name. Toward the end, it got bad, very, very bad. And actually, that's funny that you say short term because my long term memory wasn't bad. Uh, it really was just my short-term memory. And now I'd say the only thing that I even really notice memory problems on are numbers. The numbers just won't stick for me very well anymore. So like dates, phone numbers, I have to really remind myself. But otherwise, I feel almost as though my memory's gotten a little better than it used to be, other than the numbers.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I was just curious because that's how mine was. It was my short-term memory. It's like I couldn't make solid memories during the time that that the cyst was still in there. And yeah, my long-term memory wasn't affected. I can still remember I have some great detailed memories from before that time. And then we have kids, and my son was turning around 11-ish. I think he was 10 when I was first diagnosed.
Started
Um,
when he was 10. Yes.
and I don't remember his 12th, I kind of remember his 11th birthday a little bit, but like, I don't remember him turning 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And he's 14 now. Um, but yeah, we just lost that chunk of time there.
Mm.
Yeah. Your brain, it's almost like it can't really bring it all together and package it for you. And that there's for me at least, it's just bits and pieces of memories kind of
Yeah.
stuck in there, and I can access little bits of them, but I could not tell you the whole picture of any period of time for that last little bit of time.
Wow.
It's scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's very scary. I do have a question for you, if you don't mind me asking.
please.
So your eyes, this was very bizarre for me. So I've heard that other people have gotten where it hurts to look up. And it would hurt. It was very painful to look up. But if I looked side to side, I would get dizzy, but I could also feel, I don't know how to explain this exactly. It's a whole weird, but I
Mhm.
felt a sensation almost moving behind my eyes when I would look side to side. Like almost like the pressure was pushing behind my eyes when I would do that. So it was pain
Mhm.
looking up and pressure side to side. Did you have anything like that?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I had so many weird things happen with my eyes. One of the first things, in fact, before we knew that it was um, pineal cyst, because when mine came out, it showed there were some calcifications. So on all of my MRI reports, it doesn't say pineal cyst. It says brain tumor slash lesion slash, we don't know what this is. Could be a cyst, could be a tumor, they didn't really know at the beginning. And I went to the eye doctor because I was having some um, trouble with not just not being able to see, just I would get like double vision. And I went to the eye doctor, and they found there was some bleeding, retinal bleeding. And they asked me, I remember they asked me at the time, they said, "Do you strain?" And I was like, "What?" And the eye doctor said, "I'm sorry to ask you this, but are you straining when you're using the restroom?" It's like, "No." Okay, okay. And then we explained, that I do have this cyst in my head. And he said, "Okay, well, I'm going to send this report to your doctor because I think that is what's causing this." And yeah, I would have so many weird things happen with my one of the things was looking like left to right from me. It didn't really hurt, but like it was, I could feel it. I don't know. It's almost like you could feel the
Yes.
muscles in my eyes. Hard to describe, but maybe a pressure. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'd not spoke to anybody who had that. It's not something I would go around asking, but I was so curious if you'd had that
Yeah.
too, because it
Stand
was
out in
so
front
hard
of a
to
Kroger with a
explain.
clipboard. Excuse me, may I ask you some
Yeah.
questions?
It's a weird, and it's hard to describe, It's not something that, definitely something I had never felt um, before that. And thankfully don't have that issue anymore. But yeah, really, really strange stuff. There was even a period of time where um, I remember taking a shower, and I remember this because it was so painful. And I got out of the shower, and I'm screaming that my eyes are on fire and that I can't see. And I'm telling my husband, I can't see, I can't see. My eyes hurt, my eyes hurt. Um, and I could see like white splotches, so I didn't think that I was blind per se. It just was, maybe it was another pressure thing. I think we went to the emergency room that night. Hard to remember. Did we go to the
I
emergency room
believe so.
that night?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember what they ended up.
We made a lot of those trips, but yeah, that was
Yeah.
one of
I
them.
don't
Yes,
remember
a
what
lot.
they ended up saying was the deal with that, but it lasted for a couple of hours and then resolved on its own. Um, the
The first
double,
time that that happened to me, it basically it's exactly what you're explaining, but mine was blackness, not white. And I went to the ER as well. They did all different kinds of tests, put dye in there. They, blew the air, did the pressure test with my eye.
Mhm.
They're telling me, well, your eyes are okay. We're not sure what's going on. And you start to feel crazy because you see 15 different doctors and a third of them are saying, well, you're actually fine. This isn't causing you any issues. A third of them say, it's all in your head and you need to calm down. And then the other third say, well, this is a big problem and it's going to cause you problems, but we can't help you because we're going to hurt you. You
Right.
just, well, who do I listen to?
Yep.
So, yeah, it's been just rattling around in my head since you saw it. Trilobal looks like a snowman. Do you want to remove a snowman? Okay, I had to do it. I'm very sorry to everyone listening.
I did. We took him out. Me and my mom made a few jokes about saying goodbye to Frosty, and then we got him out of there.
Wow. So as you're on the other side, um, immediately, you have the one seizure and then that's gone. Uh, did you have those kind of aha moments as you went along, like, you know, this thing um, is no longer part of my life? What were those, the big, most telling of those?
Well, I would say the biggest, and it was right at the beginning, like I said, when my entire life, I mean, from the moment I started having a cycle until the moment I had my pineal cyst removed, I never had a regular cycle and my menstrual cycle, and to start it almost immediately, about 48 hours after I got out of surgery, that was crazy. And I talked to Dr. Kim about it when I got in, and he said, actually, nothing officially, but that is something that I hear often. I've heard that many times
Hmm.
that people who've got hormone issues or PCOS, different types of menstrual irregularities, it can even itself out after, and usually it's pretty quick after. And yeah, here I am.
Wow.
um, I think driving, which came much later, I getting in and actually doing it for the first time, because my the first time I had an absent seizure that I knew was an absent seizure, I was driving.
Oof.
And I didn't drive again for 7 years after that, because it took me years to get diagnosed, get the surgery, have it removed, and then heal from it. And I remember being behind the wheel and comparing how unable I was to process everything that was going on. When you're driving, there's things you don't think about that you can't do when you've got all those issues. And now getting behind the wheel, some days even still, I'm almost a decade out and I still feel grateful that I can process what's going on next to me, behind me, in front of me, listen to music at the same time. Nothing I could have done more than one of back when I had my issues.
Wow, that's awesome. That is very cool. I like asking those questions. Um, okay, well, what else do you want people to know, or I mean, I think you were very concise and you covered a lot of ground. So we really
I think
appreciate it. But if there's something else, fire away.
if I just had to say one thing, if there's one thing that, if using my voice to get it out there, I wish that more medical professionals understood how debilitating it is. The gaslighting is level 5,000 from most of them.
Mhm.
And from what it sounds like, nearly everything that medical professionals are taught about pineal cysts are archaic and very incorrect. And I just wish that there was more that they had to learn from it, that there was more science, more just I wanted people to
That's
do the
exactly what
work.
it is. Yes.
Yeah.
It's what they've been taught. And so I think I've said this before on here, like I don't necessarily blame them because you're going to do what you're taught. in medical school, and that's the general consensus for the most part. I mean, we even went to the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, and who has one of the best tumor boards in the world. And, everybody knows Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, they have the best doctors, um, and we had one guy there that was willing to do it. But the tumor board said it was too risky, too dangerous. And we're not 100% sure that this is even what's causing all of your symptoms. We don't really know. We think you should go find a doctor in Texas. They wanted me to find an oncologist because I had, the weight loss and things like that. They wanted me to find a general oncologist, and
And it's good we did.
it's good we did.
This journey revealed breast cancer.
Yeah, I ended up having
Okay.
cancer at the same time, but
Mhm.
they just don't know. And even the doctor there that we saw, he was a super nice guy. Everybody there really nice, really knowledgeable in what they're supposed to be knowledgeable in. It's just, uh, yeah, this stuff is outdated, and somebody had to be the person to do the surgery first to see if it even did anything. And luckily, that person, um, at least here in the United States, Dr. Patel, one of the first to actually start studying this, and almost make it like his mission to study this, basically. Um, he's putting out publications now, that are explaining, why he even did the first surgery, and that yes, these can and do cause sometimes very debilitating symptoms. And that's the main thing. That's just, we got to get more health professionals to understand that a lot of the stuff that they're learning is outdated right
Yeah.
now.
And the numbers are really very difficult to deal with. If you look at the number of people globally who are believed to have pineal cysts, and then you take what we think we know about the percentages of those who are who have symptomatic pineal cysts, and then you just run that simple math, you get somewhere between 500,000 and 8 million people. I'm sorry, 500,000 and 16 million people who are suffering with this. So we just split the difference and skew conservative and say 8 million. But irrespective of the numbers, there's people that are suffering needlessly. I mean, it's yes, it's brain surgery. It's a really big deal. It's not something you want to do, but there is an option out there for folks to get their life back. And Kelly said before, she was willing at that point, even if it was a huge risk,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
do it, just because why not? If the choice is have no life, no quality, and breathe, or not breathe,
Mm-hmm.
really, is there that big of a difference? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's people like Dr. Patel, the doctors who will take on that liability just to help somebody, or those are the people who are gonna, that's where medical progress comes from. If nobody's going to do anything just because they don't want that liability, not only is that leaving people suffering, but we're never gonna move forward.
Absolutely. And I think it's not just the liability. They get defensive about it. Like,
Mhm.
we know because we were taught that this is absolutely true. And I've made the point before well, science doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
We
that's
we got
wrong.
lucky in that we didn't really have anybody that was as sort of aggressive as some of the patients that we've talked to on this podcast. We I mean, wow, I
We
feel
had
lucky in that
dismissive,
regard.
not
We
aggressive.
did have dismissive, not dismissive of, they weren't like, oh, you're not going through something. They knew there was something wrong. That, I guess that was the difference.
Yeah.
Like most of them acknowledged that, yeah, there's definitely, you're having some pretty bad symptoms, and there's definitely something wrong. They just couldn't attribute it to what was happening in my brain. They couldn't look at uh, the growth and say that's what's causing it. In fact, most of them said, we don't think that that's causing these symptoms, maybe a few of them, but we don't think your major symptoms are from this. But they weren't. Some of the patients here have horror stories of being told that it's all in their head, that they're attention
Yep.
seeking, that they're not really going through this, that's all in their mind. And that is scary because that causes people, you hear that enough, you're going to shut down and start going, well,
Hmm.
are they right? I mean, they're the doctors. I mean,
Luckily, yeah.
you get
Luckily, I
discouraged.
only had the one doctor. I only had one neurosurgeon who was extremely dismissive. The one who told me that it was psychosomatic and that I must be
Mhm.
going through something else. I should get a therapist, maybe get on some more medications. Here, you want something to help you sleep. He was just trying to throw pills at it and tell me it was in my head. And I owe so much to my mom. We walked out that day. We sat down in the car in silence for a good few minutes, and she said, you know that's BS, right?" And we're gonna keep trying. We're going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep swimming because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I promise." And then shortly after, we found Dr. Kim and made it to that light at the end of the tunnel that I didn't see. But yeah, I I very rude. I did have rude and pushy, never aggressive, but just to a point where I would sit there and think, is it in my head? And now here I am, almost a decade past removal surgery, and I can look at you, look at you and tell you, absolutely not. No, it for everything to correlate so
Yeah.
perfectly, ending after the removal surgery, that makes a lot less sense.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
all
Well,
these.
we knew from how severe my symptoms were, we knew that it wasn't, there was just no way. I mean, especially by the time my symptoms were to the point where I'm begging for brain surgery and I want help, we knew for certain. So at that point, a doctor could have probably said that to us and we would have we would have just laughed because we knew. But yeah, at the beginning, there was a time that we did go to urgent care, and I was told that I had to have been having a I was just having a panic attack, and nothing's wrong with me. I'm too young. And you know that was discouraging because that was sort of kind of at the beginning of it all. They didn't do any tests. They just told me that's what's happening, and it didn't feel right. It didn't sit right with me. Um, and things kept getting worse. And sad but true, it took my husband finding and calling the doctor and going with me to an appointment because, we both were working, we had kids. I was going to most of these appointments by myself because why shouldn't I? It shouldn't be that big of a deal. But it wasn't until he came with me that I got my first MRI and my
Mhm.
first real answer.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. If somebody's going through this, if a family member can, I'm glad you had your mom. If you can go and not be alone, that's gonna probably be better, especially right now, in the with the
Yeah.
way that things are. And you also have to go in understanding that you definitely don't want somebody operating on you that doesn't feel comfortable doing it.
That doesn't want to be doing it.
Right.
Yes,
That doesn't want to be
absolutely.
doing it. And you just have to go in with an open mind and understand that it's nothing personal, that they just truly don't know. They don't have the information. That's one of the things that this podcast hopes to change is to get doctors to do the research, to read the studies, to change their understanding of what a pineal cyst can do because the understanding needs to change. Um, People should be able to immediately know, oh, you have a pineal cyst and you have all of these symptoms. Absolutely, that could be, that
Mm.
could be causing them. Um, and, not all of them are going to be symptomatic. I would say if you are someone whose symptoms can be explained by something else, that's probably going to be what it is. By the time that we did my MRI, I had so many tests done that this was literally the only thing at that
Hmm.
time, before even the cancer was found, that could explain any of the weird symptoms going on. Um,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. EKGs, the different, oh yeah, the eye tests, hearing tests,
Yeah.
mhm.
Blood
scans for
work all
everything
over the
else,
place.
blood
Yeah.
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've
Yep.
I've just got kind of my permanent little scar dots from all the times I was in the hospital on my
Yeah.
arm.
If you're going to take somebody to
Absolutely.
the doctor with you, if they happen to be over 6'2", bald, and have a goatee and a Walter White kind of glare, it probably helps. I'm just saying.
Or a mom who's fiery for her kid. My mama
No, no,
bear was not
that's
about to
too
let it go.
scary. That's just too much.
Honestly, you're
I'm
right
just
about
joking.
that. Like,
That's awesome.
mom, I love you, but like if my mom had been in there with me, I know my mom, she can get a little emotional and a little yelly, And so I don't know that we would have gotten
She
anywhere
may
with
have left
that.
New York, but
She
New
may
York
have
didn't
had
leave
us
her.
like run. Out of the room. So he was a good, calm yet firm
Yeah.
person to have.
Very
Uh,
lucky to have that.
uh. Well,
Wow.
all right. So this has been new. I mean, that's cool. And also, I'm just kind of honestly a little bit jealous. You came to Texas to get your surgery.
Yeah, that's
Come
amazing.
on.
Of course, that was back in 2018, you said?
January
Yeah.
2018.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonder if
Yes.
that person's still practicing.
No, she says.
He's not.
Oh, okay.
Nope, he's
Well,
not.
there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. If I remember correctly, it didn't have anything to do with the surgeries, the reason that he's not practicing anymore.
Gotcha.
Um,
Maybe he's
did you
retired.
did you have problems with your insurance? I know because my personally, my insurance kept telling me find somebody who will do it in Michigan, or we're not covering it. But
We
then I
did.
would show them nobody in Michigan will do it. Here's somebody else who won't do it. Here's somebody else who won't do it. Here's somebody else who won't do it. They didn't cover it. I had to fundraise for everything.
I
We got
I
lucky.
hate to do the commercial for the insurance company because you're supposed to hate insurance companies, but really,
They were
we
wonderful.
got so lucky. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas really stepped up, and we did. There was a thing where you have to you have to find someone in network or someone in network to say they won't do it. But that's
Yeah.
pretty easy because we were surrounded by people who wouldn't do it. Plus, they
Right.
assigned us a patient advocate. They gave us an
We didn't have
advocate.
to ask for that.
So,
Yeah.
all this stuff just got really easy. And there
That's
were,
wonderful. That is
I,
wonderful.
I was
yeah,
surprised how quickly they approved everything. Not even the surgery, just everything. Like we had to when we did go to the Mayo Clinic, the Mayo Clinic wanted to do a couple of weeks worth of tests because, like I said, the MRI wasn't super clear on exactly what this was, and so they wanted to do some lumbar puncture, blood work, CT scan, that sort of thing. And our insurance immediately, yes. I mean, I
That's
think,
how it should be.
yes,
yeah, we
Yeah.
yes,
just
it
got
is.
really, really lucky. But you're definitely not the first one that has mentioned having to kind of jump through hoops, especially to go out of state. And that's another barrier that people are facing. I know there are people who probably would already be seeing someone out
Mhm.
of state that could help them. Their insurance isn't okaying it. And most of us don't have that kind of money lying around to
Yeah,
just jump
No.
up and go pay out of pocket,
right.
you know? Um, yeah.
Yeah, it was an incredibly expensive couple of years.
Yes.
Um, the
Yes.
Very.
travel, all the medical costs that are not just the procedures and the hospitals themselves, but all the other stuff on the periphery, the
Hmm.
hotel stays and all the it was an incredibly expensive couple of years, but Blue Cross Blue Shield made it way better
Way
than it could
better.
have been. Because if we had had
Yeah.
to also fight them on top of all that, that would have just
I think we
we would have
hit,
done it, but it would have been incredibly difficult.
I think we hit our out of pocket maximum like when the year rolls around,
Starting September 1st, and we usually got it within
we
2
usually
weeks.
got it within a couple weeks. And unfortunately, that's still kind of happening because I do have another smaller thing in my brain right now. It has nothing to do with the cyst. It is not causing any problems whatsoever right now. So we're just doing watch and wait. We're just doing MRIs. In fact, I just had one a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And met with video visit with the doctor, the neurologist from MD Anderson, who's following this one. And we don't have to do another one for 6 months because it's stable.
Wonderful.
It's about half the size of what my cyst was. And this one is located posterior commissure. Is that how I say that?
I think that's right.
I think that's right. But you know how expensive MRIs are. So we're kind of meeting
Yeah,
that still. We're
pretty
still
quickly.
unfortunately meeting that out of pocket. Plus, I mean, you know, I still have to, I'm still on a breast cancer drug daily. So, and I still have to get blood work for that periodically. So, yep, I never really thought I'd be saying how happy I am to have our insurance, but yeah.
Just not sure who to send the Christmas card to. Just Blue Cross in general, somebody read this.
To whom it may concern.
Dear insurance.
Well, is there anything else you want to add to you that you want
No,
anybody to know or?
No, I don't think so. I think we really hit most everything. I'm sure way later I'm gonna think, oh, I should have mentioned this. But right now I think everything that I have in my little notepad we talked
Well, if
about.
it's really important, reach out.
We can always
It'll
do a
be
follow-up.
a couple of months before this airs, and I can edit. So we'll just hop back on a Zoom. You say it, I'll just place it right in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful to know. Okay.
So,
Because like I said, my memory is amazing, especially when it comes to some things. But occasionally I'm like, man.
yeah. No, I get that.
That might just be being 31 though.
I've never had a pineal gland cyst that's symptomatic anyway. Maybe I have one, but I've never had that. Also, I've never had a memory. So it's those things could be completely unrelated.
My mom says the same thing. She says I walk into a room and I forget what I was going into that room for 5 times a day. So maybe it's just because you're related to me. But it was very nice to meet you guys.
And you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pineal Stories, where patient voices matter and real stories have the power to drive change. If you or someone you love is living with a symptomatic pineal cyst, know that you are not alone. Our community is growing, and your experience matters. Share your story, connect with others, and help us push the medical conversation forward. Visit pinealstories.com to explore more stories, submit your own, and stay connected. And if you found this episode meaningful, please consider leaving a review and sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and keep speaking up. This is Michael Abels with my wife Kelly, and you've been listening to Pineal Stories. Thanks, y'all.